Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all our 12th Monarchs out there in Monarch Nation, coming off what we all feel as a program was an embarrassing loss at home Saturday. Give a lot of credit to Coach Satterfield and Appalachian State. That's a very good football team, a team that's picked to compete for and even win the Sun Belt. And after watching them play Saturday, certainly a great team, so we want to give them a lot of credit, but we did not play a good football game in any facet. We didn't coach well. We didn't play well. That's my responsibility as a head coach to get that fixed, and that's what we're going to work to do. We always talk about when you have a poor performance, you got to own it, and then you got to deal with it. And the goal will be to turn this setback into a major comeback the rest of the season. This did not feel like a 49-0 game to me, particularly at the start. We're down 7-0 after the first quarter. I was concerned with the fact that we were struggling to move the ball. We only ran 9 plays. Appalachian State had 22 plays. In the second quarter, they hit us on a 3rd and 8, a big pass play, a double cut move for a 53-yard touchdown to make it 14-0. We come back, punt, pin them, and then we get a 3 and out, get great field position. We're driving at that point. I think we're going to make it 14-7 with about 10 minutes to go, and the ball slips out of Schuler's hands. They return it 77 yards for a touchdown, and at that point we came a little bit unsettled. Offensively, it was good to see Schuler come back on that next drive. He hits a big pass to Pascal. He hits a 43-yarder to Marquise Little, and we're driving again, and I'm thinking it's going to be 21-7, and he overthrew a pass to David Washington. David was a little short on the route, and the ball was too high, and then we miss a chip shot field goal at that point, and that's when it really turned against us at that point in the first half. So we've got to be able to handle that type of adversity. You know, this game should have been close at the half with the way we were playing on defense, getting the turnover. We were solid on special teams again, which is a good sign, but this certainly should not have been to the level it was. With special teams, Satchel Ziffer for the 2nd straight week punted the ball extremely well, 6 times for a 40-yard average. We have the concern with Ricky missing the field goal. His knee that he had surgically repaired, his right knee, he tore his ACL last year. That was bothering him this week. We weren't sure if he was going to kick going into the game. It's still bothering him now, so we'll make a move this week with true freshman Chris Kirtley, who will definitely handle extra points and field goals. We'll see if Ricky can kick off because he's been exceptional on his kickoffs. He had another great kickoff Saturday, but we'll move forward with Chris to do the extra points and field goals, and if Ricky can't kick in this game, then Kirtley will handle all the kicking responsibilities, and we have Satchel as a backup, but he's punting so well right now, we'd rather not ask him to do both. Defensively, it was a poor overall performance from the standpoint of we lost gaps up front with our front 7. We had not been doing that. We had a couple blown coverages and some long touchdown passes, and we were not good tacklers in this game, which we had been very good. With that being said, both of our safeties played very well. Justice Davila had a career high in tackles. Falante Misha played well. They both forced fumbles, but that's far too many tackles in the back end. The explosive plays for touchdowns in this game, which we had not allowed. I mentioned the 53-yarder. They hit us on a 41-yard touchdown pass, a double move where they beat our corner, and then they had a busted play where the quarterback scrambled and they hit another 24-yard touchdown pass. So we need to do much better with that. We'll start 2 true freshmen this week in the defensive line. Tim Ward and Miles Fox both played extremely well in this game. We'll still rotate in Poncho Barnwell and Bumi Rotimi, who they'll replace, but based on their performance, they'll start this week. Offensively, 4 turnovers is what did us in, one that they scored on. We just did not play winning football on offense. Schuler was 16 for 28 for 133 yards. He had 2 bad interceptions that he forced. 2 plays, which he had not been doing. He forced the ball to Marquise Little on the sideline when that wasn't his read. And then start the second half, he tried to make a play and flip the ball over a guy's head to Keyshawn Strong, threw it too high, and they picked that. So he's obviously got to play better, but we've got to play better around him. I can't emphasize enough that we're not playing good football on offense. We're a little banged up in the offensive line. Connor Mewborn hurt the ankle again in this game. Troy Butler did. I'm hoping they'll be available this week, but we're musical chairs up front right now, and that's certainly hurting our ability to protect and run the ball. We need to get some guys healed up there. And then for the second straight week, that led to our run game being ineffective, and that's more of a product of not being able to block well enough and not being able to throw the ball well enough or effectively enough to get people out of the eight-man fronts that we're seeing. This week we play Marshall, who's an outstanding team. They're 3-1 this year. They're 16-2. In their last 18 games, coming off a 13-1 record. Last year, they've got outstanding team speed overall. That's what really jumps out to me. Offensively, they're averaging 33 points a game. They've already made a change at quarterback, whether it be through injury or performance. Chase Litton, who's a true freshman, looked really good 2 weeks ago against Norfolk State. He struggled this past week in their win out at Kent State. Two outstanding running backs in Devin Johnson and Tony Pittman, and they're good in the O-line. And at wideout, defensively, they're giving up 22 points a game. Evan McKevley has 47 tackles through 4 games. He's outstanding at linebacker. Taekwon Long, their free safety, is very good, and it's the speed that really jumps out to you when you watch them play. This will be a tremendous challenge. This is our third straight game against what I would term excellent football teams with NC State, who's now 4-0. They went to South Alabama and beat them by 50. App State is very good, and Marshall obviously is a good team. So we'll need to have a great week of practice. Our players have the right mindset. They approached me Saturday night via text message, and then Sunday morning I talked to a number of them. They wanted to meet as a team with the players only. I thought it might be about a 5-minute meeting. They were in here yesterday for a half hour talking about a lot of things that they want to do better that all pertain to them as players. They've taken responsibility for this past game, which I think is a good sign. It's certainly not just the players, it's all of us, coaches included, but there's things that they feel like they need to do better. They want to practice better, prepare better. So that's a good sign for our team, and we'll need to carry that into this week's practice. And I'll take questions.
Bobby, looking at the film, is it, with the offense, is it little things, a lot of little things that are going wrong, or are there fixable things that are happening?
Yeah, they're definitely fixable. It's all facets right now in terms of the inability up front to block on a consistent basis. We were really good the first 2 weeks since we've gotten banged up. It hasn't been as good throwing and catching it better, and then the ability to run the ball. It's all phases right now of what we're doing, and we've got to stick with it. We've got to work at it, and we've got to improve it.
What was the mindset of your players during your meeting with them yesterday?
Embarrassed, disappointed. They feel accountable, which is a good thing. And the most encouraging thing was the fact that for 30 minutes they wanted this room to themselves. They wanted to talk about some things they need to improve. From what I got back from the players, it wasn't 1 or 2 guys, which has been the case in the past. It was 15 to 20 guys that all stood up and had things to say about what we need to do. And, I needed to remind them that we started the season 2-0. We have a good football team. We've got really good players. We've got kids that they want to work at it, they want to improve, and that's a good sign. And when your team takes the level of accountability that these players have taken, and they're not pointing fingers, they're not looking and saying, this guy or that guy's got to get better. Everybody's looking at themselves, saying what they need to do to improve. So I suspect we'll have a very good week of practice this week.
Embarrassed is I'm sure, a word you chose very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use that in some respects to send a message to the players as well, that's just not the expectations?
No, there was no message intended by that. That was the general feeling of everybody in that locker room post-game. I could see it in their faces. Every player I talked to said they went home after that game. It was very somber in that room. They were embarrassed, and the good sign was 24 hours later, there was a different mood in this room. It was a group of guys that are very much focused on what they need to do to improve. They want to get the mindset back and the mentality back of how we were through preseason, how we were through the first 2 weeks. And you have to be really careful as a head coach, because it's important that they also have a perspective on who we've lost to the last 2 weeks. That's absolutely critical, because I don't want anybody in this organization to lose confidence in what we're doing. And I had a very direct conversation with some of the players on the team about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and they don't want anything changed. They just want the intensity level to pick up in practice and refocus on what we're doing. But the word embarrassed was the best word to explain how we all felt. That doesn't happen around here. What happened Saturday is not the norm for this program. We've had a couple moments in the past where there've been difficult games and different circumstances, but Saturday, to lose by that score against a team we felt very strongly that we could compete with and beat, felt that way after the first quarter. This was an entirely different feeling than it was that first quarter last year against Marshall, where we just felt overmatched. We felt like in this game that there were plenty of opportunities to be close at halftime. I honestly thought it was a 14-14 game at halftime. That's what it should have been. But then for the final score to end up the way it did, it was embarrassing to all of us.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you all for coming, and appreciate the support, 12 Monarchs.